Hello, and welcome back to the Voloshen Law Firm for yet another episode of Power Partners. This is a video series where yours truly, along with my power partners, people who I work with in our law industry, talk about how immigration law is relevant to all other areas of the law and how immigration clients can utilize advices and services of other attorneys and other professionals in different fields. Today, I am delighted to introduce to all of you my good friend, colleague, and my power partner and a podcast partner, Lidia Alperovich, who will talk to us today about a very important topic. A topic that has a cross section with immigration law and criminal law. The topic is retail theft. I will ask Lidia to discuss with us how retail theft becomes a relevant and often discussed issue within the framework of immigration law, and what tips our clients should keep in mind if they happen to face criminal charges for retail theft. Lydia, welcome, and please introduce yourself and let us know about how retail theft is relevant to immigration law.
First of all, thank you for having me. Okay, and yes, Lidia Alperovich, law offices of Lidia Alperovich, and you could not have picked a hotter subject for immigration law. Really, I can't think of anything else, and you're the immigration attorney, I'm not, but something that affects your immigration status as much as the seemingly trivial thing as not necessarily retail theft, theft of any kind. And you know why? This is not for me to say in the immigration world what it means, but I can tell you what it is for my criminal world. So retail theft, again, it's when you take something in the store and fail to pay for it. Now, there is a misconception everywhere, I would say, in our community, this community, that, but everywhere. What in fact is retail theft? If you buy something, return it, keep the return receipt, then take something from the shelf and say, oh, I'm returning it, and get the money back, retail theft. There are so many ways. It's not just getting out of the store without paying. It's when you're in the middle of a store and you put something small into your purse or a backpack. So stores are sick and tired of it. There is this army of what they call loss prevention officers. Stores invest a lot of money into supervising their stores and then going to courts and testifying against people to prosecute people that do that.
So in fact, this is something that gets enforced. In your experience, stores pursue criminal charges more often than not, yes, against even trivial and what you said sometimes inconsequential amounts to a lot of people. It still gets enforced.
Yes, it does. Criminally and civilly, by the way. There are steep fines on the civil side of it, not to mention criminal fines. But you touched something very important. You said something trivial, whether you said it or I said it. Now, theft of any kind is prosecuted in kind of two different planes. One is the amount of the property that is alleged to be stolen. The other one is how many times you did it before. So it's an escalating offense, what we call. So what I tell every client of mine, that the problem with your first retail theft is your second retail theft. Why? Because I'm a strong believer that really, very often, retail theft is not about a need or not about your financial need, okay? If you look at my clients, one after another, it's really almost never food or some necessities. Sometimes it's some internal need, it's stress. So, if it happened once, guess what? It may happen again. And then, if it happened once in Pennsylvania, for example, the amount of retail theft of a minimum one, it's up to $150, then it's handled in a local court. And it's not going to go anywhere else.
And you said something interesting, that very often you find that it is not an economic need. It could be people can be psychologically have issues with kleptomania, maybe. People can also, sometimes it could be a socio-economic need. Maybe somebody in the context of immigration came to the United States, in fact, wants something for themselves that is not a vital necessity, but something that in their mind makes them feel like they are normal or back home, or they could allow themselves sort of feel more comfortable and less, take some stress off of it, and it becomes almost a compulsion.
It is a compulsion, and that's, again, we're circling back that the problem with the first one, if you have a compulsion, same as drinking, it may become a compulsion for you to do it again.
Do you find usually that your clients, the defendants that you represent, usually have sort of a high rate of recidivism in terms of they have offended once and maybe got away with it, or maybe got off easily and they do it again?
Yes, yes. And
So repeat offenders.
Repeat offenders are often, and then all of a sudden the punishments become much steeper for a much smaller amount. Then the amount stops being important for the second one. And the grading, we have different gradings of offenses in Pennsylvania. So instead of it being a summary offense, it becomes a misdemeanor, a felony, more and more serious.
Could you talk a little bit about what are some of the various penalties and severity of the responsibilities that your clients are being held to if they are in fact apprehended and arrested and charged for retail theft?
You know what? The very first one is shame. 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 And people are uniformly, I haven't seen anyone who is unrepentant. But then becomes, there are fines, there are probations, so it's not exactly the jail time, but you're doing probation. Probation, maybe you report to your probation officer or not, and then all of a sudden you're very fragile. Your position is very fragile. So if you have your own probation for retail theft of, say, $170, because it's more than $150, then you come in contact with the police for something very trivial. You have to report to your probation officer. You are under such scrutiny that your life becomes much more difficult than it was before. But then there are jail times, yes.
And of course, our message, our joint message, obviously, is don't do it. I mean, it's something that could be a compulsion. We advise all of our clients to fight their compulsions. The consequences that are criminal, that Lidia just spoke about, are severe, but the consequences immigration-wise are also quite extensive. If, to pitch in on what Lidia said, if you are arrested for retail theft, it is considered to be a crime of moral turpitude, especially if that theft is of a value that is higher than a certain amount, and the amounts vary by state, from state to state. It could prevent you from applying for certain immigration benefits. Definitely will prevent you from applying for naturalization for a number of years, because you have to demonstrate 5 years of good moral character prior to filing for your naturalization application, which means that this could prevent you from getting married, from helping to adjust your spouse who is undocumented, from bringing your parents here. The message overall is don't do it. It has a very serious consequences. So in conclusion, Lidia, can you quickly tell us about how the criminal process works if you are arrested for retail theft in state of Pennsylvania?
Okay, like I said, if it's your first retail theft and the amount is under $150, the standard process is you get a ticket in the mail. Please still take it seriously. But the case begins and ends in the local district court with a local district judge. There are still things that can be done legally even in this court to make it impact your future less, but that's where it ends. Now, if the amount is over 150 on the first offense, or if it's your second offense, the case then starts in the same court, but it starts with a criminal complaint, affidavit of probable cause that states the facts. You show up for the first hearing. Your very first hearing is called preliminary arraignment. You are appraised of your constitutional rights, and more often than not, you can go. hopefully. Again, not necessarily, not always, but hopefully. Then you and the judge meet again. And that's a preliminary hearing. It's your first chance, my first chance, to look at the Commonwealth's case. So
the prosecutors.
The prosecutors, if we're talking about any other state,
Right.
okay? Yes. So then there is a meeting with loss prevention officer will most likely be there. And the loss prevention officer, the representative of the store will say, that's what happened. And actually, no, we're not letting this person go. We're not letting this case go.
We're going to pursue charges.
We're going to pursue charges, or it's not up to them to pursue, but we insist on this case happening. Then the local judge decides if there is enough for this case to go to a county seat. Then you will have a formal arraignment where you are appraised of your constitutional rights. If you have a private attorney in Pennsylvania, you don't need to go. Some counties are weird about that. I had counties where the trial happened before your formal arraignment, but generally speaking, that's the thing, that you don't need to appear. I will appraise you of your constitutional rights, and then again, procedures per county, they vary. Some have a pretrial exchange of discovery. Very important, if it's your first retail theft and the amount is over 150, you may or may not get into a diversionary program. Your first chance will help immigration immensely, from what I understand, but it's the discretion of the Commonwealth to accept you or not. So that's, in a nutshell, it's way more complicated, but that's a nutshell, is we get to trial, and then from trial we do or do not go to sentencing.
So if any of our clients or our viewers run into the issue of being charged with retail theft, how can they find you and how can they contact your office?
Before they even try to find me, they need to know that they have a constitutional right not to say anything. And they are strongly advised to use this constitutional right. And then, yes, I'm in Feasterville. Our number is 215-355-9105. And we will at least discuss the case and see where to go with it.
And as always, you can find our firm at voloshenlaw.com. You may call us at 215-437-7854. We are available to be contacted via various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and obviously, we invite you to look at our videos, view them, learn from them on YouTube. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to having you join us once again on the next episode of Power Partners.